Well, we are born in hospitals. Sometimes we have to visit it more often than not because we accidents or we fall sick. And sometimes we die in the hospital. So in our lifetimes, here visitela hospitals. There are available clinics for you and I, Makasi, and there's hundreds and thousands of us that have to go there to collect a medication. Imagine going to a clinic and there's a long queue. You spend more than 8 hours ungathi uye emsebenzini, and it's a little bit daunting, especially if you are ailing and you are in an old age. Okanye, the clinic, it's very far from you, and then you have to walk because reality yethu singabantu abamnyama. Well, a young person igama lakhe nguSizwe Nzima came up with this beautiful concept ekubizwa uba Iyeza Express, where he collects medication for abantu that cannot go to a clinic every day, like abantu abane strength okanye for whatever reason where you cannot attend a clinic. Bebesebenzisa bicycles. Well, xa ndibone ngathi kukhona emoto ngoku, but we want to find out from uSizwe uba Iyeza Express iqale nini, isukelaphi, and what's their mission and vision. Sizwe, thank you so much for the job that you're doing for the community, and I just want to find out what prompted this beautiful idea yakho yoqokelela amayeza for people and bringing them home.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the show. Just to sort of give you a background of where the idea came from, the birth of Iyeza Express. So it came from a personal experience from my grandparents. So I was raised by grandparents for most of my life, and my grandma always taught me to do good things for people. And I was the one responsible when they're both diagnosed with chronic care. I was the one responsible to take their medication. So every month I used to go to the clinic and collect a chronic medication because they were both diagnosed with a chronic condition. And that's where I started learning the systems of the clinic, and I started analyzing it, and I started saying, well, if this is the way things are done, can't there be a much more efficient way of coming up with the same service, but that's more efficient and allows the clinics to be more sort of decanted, or sort of less people coming into the clinics. So the idea was born from a practical experience, me sitting in the queues, analyzing, and I think that's where my entrepreneurial mindset came in, because when everybody looked at these long queues as problems, I looked at them as an opportunity. Because every time I was in those long queues, I kept asking myself, can't there be a better way of doing things? Can't there be a better way of people getting their chronic medication? And that's where the delivery of chronic medication started, and that's how it came about. All from being involved in a personal experience and looking at things differently, and looking how things could be done differently instead of just complaining about change. So for me, I've always believed in one thing. We all want change, but we never want to be part of change. And for me, I always said, you know what? I'll take the responsibility to introduce change.
You were collecting blamayeza for your grandparents. Now, how did you manage to turn this whole thing? Because you were running errands, now it's an actual business. How did you flip the script and turn it into a business?
Well, at first it was very difficult. It was very difficult. I mean, I remember the first time, what really inspired me was there was a gentleman who was also sitting in the queues, and he was working, and he had to rush to work, but he couldn't. So he was caught in between two things: work and my life, because he needs these drugs to take them on a daily basis, and he was caught up also with having to be at work. So I was doing interviews in those queues. While I was in the queue, I was doing interviews of people. What do they think about the service of the clinic? What would their response be if there could be a better service that would be linked to the medication being delivered? And this one gentleman said to me, if you can do that to me now, I'm willing to pay you. For me, that was the spark, because it showed me that if there is value in people's time, because the value for him was he had to be at work, but he spent his time in those long queues having to collect his medication. And that's what really inspired me to say, you know what, if someone is willing to pay for the service, that means there's value in the service. And that's when I started initiating. I spoke to people in the community, my grandma, friends. You know how it is when you grow up. Your grandparents always have those old ladies that go to church together. So I spoke to them, and it started growing. And within a month, I had about 30 clients. No bike, nothing, no bicycle. I used to walk to some of those clients, and it was just a tough phase because the clinic also didn't trust me. I remember this one time I came with 3 clinic cards to come and collect uh, uh, people's medication, and the pharmacist said, "What are you doing? What are you doing with 3 cards? Where are you taking this medication from? Are you selling these drugs? Are you some kind of are you some kind of drug dealer?" And well, I, I said I'm not a drug dealer, um, and I told him what I was doing, and I told him what I was piloting, and I eventually took it up further with the facility manager, the Department of Health, to show them that both the patient and the facility can benefit from our service. From a patient perspective, the person can get their medication on time without them having to come to the facility. And from a facility point of view, the facility can have less people walking in while they're getting their treatment. So it decongestions the number of people being at the facility, especially during times like COVID now. We've been very busy during these times of COVID-19 because the clinic is saying less people to come to the facility, more people staying at home, staying safe, and the medication being delivered to them at their doorstep.
Speaking of getting medication to a patient on time, in reality, abantu abasekasi, it's hundreds and thousands of people that need medication. Now, how do you ensure that abantu they get medication yabo on time? You get there on time because this can be a one-man mission.
No, it definitely can't. And what we've done is we've made the service a voluntary service. So what you do is you pay for the service, and that's how I've turned it into a business. It's a pay. It's a service that you pay for. So instead of you going to collect your medication, we do it on your behalf, and you pay us an incentive fee, which is 20 rand to 30 rand a delivery, depending on your kilometer radius. So we don't have a whole pool of people on our client base, but we've got those that value their time instead of being at the clinic. So we're servicing for more than 6 to 8,000 patients only in Kailicha, and we're still very much introducing technology and other things, but it has grown now because of COVID-19. A lot of people, forced to stay home. So the reality is it's all about route planning. So it's all about route planning. So what we've done is with all my riders, so what I do is I employ people within the communities of Kailij. So if you live in Makaza, you'll deliver in Makaza. Why? Because geographically you understand the location better. So if you ask me where is 32 section in Makaza, where is 19 section in Makaya, a person living in that area would understand the geographical location, and that can be easy to plan their routes. So I've got different riders that live in different areas, and that allows us to be able to come to the office, route plan our parcels, and then go out and then come back at the end of the day and report on some of the successful deliveries and non-successful deliveries. All the non-successful deliveries due to wrong addresses, wrong phone numbers, people have moved, we take them back to the clinic and we mark them as returns. And when they come back to us, we then go in and collect and deliver the medication. So we do keep it at the clinic for them. And when they get back to us, we then schedule it out for delivery. So it's very much around route planning and logistics system management, planning your routes better, planning your area better, and being able to locate a particular parcel to a particular rider that lives in that particular area.
Since we're living in unprecedented times because the COVID-19 came and disrupted our lives, I'm sure that there are challenges that it came with, especially for e-business yako. What kind of challenges did you face and how did you overcome them?
Well, to be honest, yes, COVID-19 did affect our lives, but from a pharmaceutical logistics business such as Iyeza Health, which we have grown from just using bicycles, we now have a fleet of vehicles, a fleet of trucks that we deliver bulk stock to clinics. So we've grown as a business, and from a business perspective, it actually has impacted better. From an ESA perspective, we've actually grown during the times of COVID-19. So while other businesses have been struggling, we've actually grown. So we've shown a significant amount of growth because more things are having to be delivered. So it's less people going to pharmacies, it's less people going to clinics. That means more deliveries are going to go out, and we've had more contracts, more companies, more private pharmacies contacting us to deliver some of the treatment, prescription treatment that the clients are taking. So honestly, the business, COVID-19 has had some positive things in terms of the business perspective. Yes, in terms of our lives, it has changed it, but in terms of my business as a pharmaceutical logistics business, it has grown.
Your services are very imperative, especially for abantu abavela EKSE, and I understand Ikhayelitsha is a very big township. However, Ikhayelitsha are not the only people that need your services. Kukho inyanga, kukho ulanga, kukho igugu lethu. Are you guys
Yes,
looking into
yes.
expanding?
Yes, we're planning on expanding our service, but then what we're doing is before I expand. So as part of my business mentorship advice is that scaling is not easy. So before you scale, you need to have your systems and operating systems right. So the reason why we've just been in Kailicha is that we've introduced technology into our business. It was all manual back in the days where we used a manual Excel spreadsheet to keep people's data. Now we've got an online platform that keeps people's dates, remembers people's dates, sorts them out according to geographical area. When the driver logs in the morning using his app, automatically he can see the deliveries allocated to him and where they are. So we we kind of improving our operations before we sort of go out into other provinces. So we don't want to outgrow ourselves. We want to grow steadily, manage our operations, and then expand as a franchise. Because scaling up is actually not easy, and it also needs a lot of funds. So we have to build a good business profile in order to say, if you want to move to Bugule, to Unyanga, and other townships, how much do we need? How much do we need in terms of app management? How much do we need in terms of drivers? How many bicycle? What is the fleet going to be? So the franchising alone is a different business case. And before we go into that phase, we want to improve our business and improve our operations and make sure that everything runs smoothly. So that even if I'm in Kailicha, I can still see what's going on in Guguletu. I can still see what's going on in Nyanga based on our back-end management system.
Who are you catering to when Asizwe? Are you catering to your regular Jane Doe, or Ganye, is it only for abantu abadala that cannot go to a clinic themselves, or anybody who is basically kumntu obusy who cannot go to a clinic ufuna uya emsebenzini and they cannot go? Okanye mhlambi uyonqena ufuna uhlala endlini ufuna uphathelwa izinto zakho zize mahala?
Well, generally, it's everyone. I mean, because people differ according to what they value in terms of time. So it's everyone, regardless whether you're old or whether you're young or whether you feel like you've got more important things to do on that day instead of being at the clinic. So we cater for everyone. So at first it was mainly for old age people because they were the primarily clients when I started the business. But now we work with companies, we work with pharmacies, we work with private individuals who can go onto our online site and upload their prescription, and we can dispense it from our pharmacies because we've got pharmacies now, and we can deliver it. So it's generally the public now. Anyone who needs medication can come onto our site or go onto our site, get our details, and start organizing some of the medication. For particularly the old age patient ones that uses the public clinics, we're still very much in Kailicha. We haven't gone to other townships like Mitchell's Plain, Nyanga, and Guguletu. But for the private sector one, where we work with private sector pharmacies, we can do that anytime. I mean, if you've got a cough and you're looking for your Rydac medication or your high blood pressure medication or your cardiovascular medication, and you've got a prescription from a doctor, we can get sorted into our pharmacy and gets delivered to you anywhere in Cape Town. So there are two separate structures in our business. There's the public sector model, which is focused on collecting from the clinic. Then there's the private sector model, where we work with private sector clients, private individuals, where we collect from pharmacies and we collect from our own pharmacy and we deliver to them. So the business has been split into two, where we have the private and the public.
I love that you're not discriminating against anybody, wenzela wonke umntu, whether you're young or old or you have better things to do with your time and awukwazi uya e-clinic. Now, I want to find out.
Healthcare should be it's a universal thing. The reason why I started my business was that I believe that everybody should get access to healthcare. Healthcare should be a basic thing for everyone, whether you're black, white, poor, old, young. Access to healthcare should be something that's really, really, really accessible. It should be accessible from a click of your hand. So, because it's a basic need for everyone, regardless of where you are, regardless of where you live, regardless of how old you are, everybody needs access to healthcare, and that's why our business never discriminates.
Very good, very well. Thank you so much for the job that you're doing. It's very imperative and I commend it. Now, one last question. How much are your services and how can people get hold of you so that you benefit from your business?
So the services will vary according to what your request is. So for the public sector model one, the one where we collect from EKSE to the patient's doorstep, that ranges between 25 Rand and 30 Rand in delivery. And then the private sector model, sometimes somebody pays using their medical aid. Some of them pay cash, some of them pay credit card, some of them use EFT, and it depends on your basket of medication that you would outsource. So the prices would vary according to your order. The one that is standard is the public sector model. That is a standard fee within the kilometer radius of Khayelitsha. It's between 25 and 30 Rand. So, I mean, when we go to Nyanga, we would make Nyanga 25 Rand, and Guguletu and Mitchell's Pen and so on, because that's a standard flat rate fee that we're charging everyone. Private sector, it will depend, and it will vary depending on how many drugs are you ordering, what is the quantity, what is the weight and size of the parcel, because there are all those logistical complications, and where is it going in terms of distance. I mean, you can order a parcel while you're living in the southern suburbs and it's going to the northern suburbs. So distance will have an impact in terms of pricing. So that on that side, things will vary in terms of how much the cost will be. But if people need to contact us in terms of pricing and and if they want to inquire about it, they can go onto our website, www.iyezahealth.co.za. There are contacts on the website, and they could start calling our office to inquire about any logistical services around their medication that they will need.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lowo Ibingusizwe Nzima from Iyeza Express. Make sure that you hop onto their website should you need their services anytime soon. You could be old, you could be poor, you could be black, you could be white. They're there for you, Iyeza Express. Thank you so much for taking time with EKSE. Now, if you're wondering how they go about day to day doing what they do, check out this clip. This is Iyeza Express.